There's a lot of flames igniting.
A lot of flames igniting. The doors are opening, and it seems like you can just and
it
there's
sounds
a
like
moment,
a song.
Yeah.
yeah.
The flames are
The
igniting.
flames are igniting. The doors are wide open.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manhwa podcast, where we review the first volume of a brand new manga each week. My name is Josh the Leveler Michaels, and today, as always, I am joined by
Megan the Hunter Michael. I'm Megan Green.
And how about you, friend?
Cody Solo Decker.
Oh, I like that, dude. Why didn't I think of that, dude? I mean, it makes sense that you would say that, but thank you for tuning in to another episode of Volume 1. Today, we will be discussing Volume 1 of Solo Leveling. Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Solo excited.
I'm so
Solo.
I'm YOLO for solo right now.
Solo more like YOLO.
I had it written down. I was gonna save it for later, but
Oh, yikes.
I had to do it.
This
What would
is
Solo
the
stand for?
second manhwa series that we've covered on this channel.
Manhwa.
We covered volume 1 of Sweet Home for our Spooktober extravaganza month. And, when you look at all the popular manhwa lists, Solo Leveling is up there.
Woo!
Solo Leveling is something that's been recommended to us since we opened the manhwa door. And we're finally getting around to it. We're finally discussing it. We're finally talking about it. Up top, before we get into the analysis portion of the episode, how did you guys feel going into this? What did you know about it? What did you expect to get out of it? And how do you feel this compared to your experience with Sweet Home?
I knew nothing about it. I expected not to like it because I was told by the person who recommended this, Hassan, shout out, what was his day? 40? Lloyd Forger. He told me I wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
I liked it more than I thought I would. There are parts that I'm like, the art was better than Sweet Home.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Still had that webtoony kind of feel to it, which a manhwa is a webtoon, but it was an improvement, I think.
It just there is, I guess that is just how the art style of manhwas are done.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. It's just I'm reminded that, mangas are just on an upper tier with art by default.
Yeah. I immediately, once I read up to a certain point, felt like this was a story that was made for you, Cody.
And I have thoughts on that.
I feel like you are the type of person to really connect with this story for reasons that you might not expect me to say. But before we get into that, Megan, how was your experience?
What do you have?
I'm just gonna say I did definitely. I'm not new to manhwa. I did read Killing Stalking.
Oh yeah, that's
which
right.
is to be desired.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of crazy things about that.
It
series.
is crazy. Viewer discretion advised. I don't know. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
sure.
reader discretion advised.
Reader discretion advised. But I definitely enjoyed Sweet Home more than Solo Leveling.
Oh wow.
Because it was in the realm of isekai, which I've stated before I'm not the biggest fan of, just because I think it's overdone and I've seen kind of all the same type of things. There are things about this type of world that I did like, about how casual it was integrated into the society that they live in, and how just like clocking in, okay, let's do the thing. Let's instead of like an actual job, like a 9 to 5. But I definitely
the darkest dungeon.
The darkest dungeon of them all. Yeah. So I have thoughts. I was gonna make a joke about Solo, but I couldn't think of anything. But yeah,
I think too that I don't know. I think what you said, Cody, about manga versus manhwa, and we talked about it a little bit in our Sweet Home episode, so you can check that out if you'd like. But I do think that I just gravitate toward the art style of manga more than manhwa. Not that, again, the art didn't have standout moments in Solo Leveling, and I think for the most part, it did come across better than it did in Sweet Home. Sweet Home felt like a scroll, like a non-stop, constant scroll, which, you know, was, I think, purposeful. But with Solo Leveling, there was a lot more to take in. There were things that I did like about it. There were things that I wasn't the biggest fan of. I don't think it's and I don't think you're saying this, it's not technically an isekai, but I do get how it feels like it has some isekai elements.
Yeah, I didn't think it was bad until towards the end where it starts doing this thing that just bugs me. That is very popular in isekais, where I'm just like, I mean, I don't know. I even get not having any issues with it. It's just like, it is like, you know, when a manga's named something and like there's no reason the name is like relevant to the plot.
I feel like Solo Leveling could be relevant to...
Yeah, it's not the title. It's something that happens at the end.
Okay.
Which you see in stuff like, what's that guy dies all the time?
Which guy?
Real Life.
ReZero.
ReZero.
Real Life. That's another one.
That is another one,
ReZero does it, I think. Shield Hero definitely does it. It bugs me. I don't know if it's a spoiler. It's just an interface thing.
Yeah.
Just bugs me that they'll do that without any justification.
Yeah, they have that in like Konosuba.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they do that in Konosuba. It's definitely in Konosuba. It's played more for comedy, which I enjoy because it is comedic. Like I don't take it like seriously.
If it's a pure comedy, then it's like, yeah, okay, I don't have to have any logic rules here. But when the story's like, and this is happening, I'm like, well, then why the heck does it look like that?
Yeah.
Especially because I have recently experienced 2 stories that do justify doing that in a way that I find very satisfying.
Yeah.
So now it really highlights that when they're just like, it just does that. They just have video game things.
Yeah, it did feel like once it hit that point, it did become a video game type of story. But before that, what I really liked about it, and that's maybe where I kind of checked out a little bit, but where I initially sort of fell in love with aspects of it was when they, and again, we will get more into it as the episode goes on, but when they get to a point where it feels like truly a D&D adventure, down to riddles and puzzles and literally happening in a dungeon.
I think the middle was the strong point of this volume for me, especially because the beginning starts on that note of like, oh, here they are in this bad position. I was sort of like, looking pretty generic right now.
Yeah.
But like when it got to that point, I was actually like invested in the story. I was actually like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it did like wear off that thing. But when the story starts on that note, I'm always sort of like, okay. Well.
Yeah. As a volume, I think, yeah, you're right. It's the strongest in the middle. And I loved that it felt like playing D&D, and then it kind of abandoned, and maybe, you know, it goes back towards that direction later on, but at least at the back half of the first volume, it did go into what felt more like, you know, isekai and video game-esque territory. And, you know, that's not a bad thing, but personal preference, not something that I love, even though I do love isekai. I love ReZero. I love Konosuba. Yeah.
If you're like, oh, well, you like video games, why don't you like that? I like video game things in video games.
Yeah.
I don't find a charm in just having, oh, look, there's an inventory space. I'm like, well, that's not in the rules of this universe that you established. There's no, like, if they justify it, and it's only the first volume, so they haven't implied anything that's like, oh no, it's just there yet, but they also haven't been like, and that's why this is happening.
Yeah. And I will say, like, when it comes to, you know, this being the second manhwa that I've ever experienced, I will say that, like, I felt about the same that I did towards this as I did Sweet Home. Like, I think it's a good story, but it's not necessarily something that I would go out of my way to continue reading for Josh personally.
I did like the main character way more than I thought I would too.
That's surprising.
In the beginning, again, in the middle, that's where it was really strong. Because in the beginning, I was sort of like, it's isekai protagonist. And the point where it's like annoying what they keep saying weakest. I'm like, all right, it's the weakest. I'm so weak. You're like, okay. But like you start seeing his stuff and I'm like, all right, that's neat. And it kind of justifies things that like questions I was having Although it doesn't really do it for other people as far as like, well, why don't they have like at the very least shoulder pads or something?
Yeah.
If like this is a thing everyone does, and they like the story does explain, well, here's why he is just some guy.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, that guy should be able to afford like a vest or something.
Like the only main, I think the main issue I had with it, obviously it's just like not my type of genre, I don't think. But the main issue I had with it was the blatant dialogue of what's going on. It was very like, we're just gonna put it on the page. Like, he's the weakest because of this, and we're doing this because of this. And didn't you like? It was just. It didn't feel like dialogue. Like real people.
D-list is easy.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it didn't feel like real people talking. It did definitely feel more like a video game where it's just like dialogue had between characters. There was no like weight to what they were actually saying.
Like a video game tutorial.
Yeah.
There was a moment at the end.
Go ahead.
Where I was like, something happened where it almost blew my mind because I thought it was going to go in this direction. And then it kind of did. I was like, oh, well. But I almost thought it was going to go in this like wild direction. And especially that was going to like make that whole video gaming stuff be like, was going to get me hooked. I don't know if it's not doing that, but it also kind of just, it was kind of just for nothing. I don't know, like spoilers for, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
But it is about like, there's a moment where like a thing happens to him and you're like, no? All right, well.
I definitely, though, want to say that I understand completely and fully why people connect with this series so much. I think that if you are a fan of this type of story, then you're absolutely going to love it outside of the art. But yeah, the main character, does become more likable as it goes on because I agree with what you both said. It is just, there's this moment where it just feels like they're really hammering in the weak thing. But there are really cool things about it. And I know it's a popular series that a lot of people love. And I think if it sounds like we're being negative about it, it's only because it's not a story that maybe we connect with or, a genre that we all, are very passionate about.
I thought it said it had an anime, and I was like actually kind of excited to watch it.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Because it says web cartoon. I was like,
no.
Oh, there's a cartoon. I was gonna watch the whole I was like, oh, this might be an anime that I'm into. Anime that I might be into, and like, no, never mind. Oh, I thought cartoon meant it was moving.
No, it was. I mean, there's like YouTube videos, like animated YouTube videos, but I could have sworn I was like, oh, it has an anime, and then someone was like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, cool.
I mean, with the success, I think of Tower of God and of God of High School, I believe that Solo Leveling will eventually get an anime, and I'll watch it because I think that it might be, it might be more entertaining to see it in animated form. But I do want to say one thing about Manhwa is although the black and white aesthetic of a manga is more appealing to me, it was nice to read something again in full color. It's not something that I think I would love all the time, but because you always get those teases of it in anime or in manga. They'll have like the first couple pages will be in color, and then it'll just shift to black and white, and it is kind of like jarring sometimes. But it was a nice it was a nice change of pace, I guess. So let's get into it. Let's walk through the first volume. If you don't know what Solo Leveling is or about, I've pulled up a brief synopsis of the series so that you're included and have context for the rest of the conversation. It will be mostly spoiler free, obviously light spoilers for volume 1. And if it gets to a point, which I think this series might get to a point where something will become clearly spoiler marked, we will let you know. In a world where hunters, humans who possess magical abilities, must battle deadly monsters to protect the human race from certain annihilation, a notoriously weak hunter named Sung Jin-woo finds himself in a seemingly endless struggle for survival. And I think that's a pretty spoiler-free synopsis.
Yeah, I did like discovering that hunters were a thing at all.
It kind of opens on that note, though. I feel
well, like because they say like, oh, but it's not just a title; it's like a thing. Someone can you either are or you aren't.
Yeah, it's a job.
Which it did make the whole like, oh, he's the weakest hunter. Because like before I knew that, I'm sort of like, oh, then why is it like what is? And they're like, well, he was like designated. He became a hunter He's just the like okay.
Well, because he was like some people got those abilities and some people didn't. So if you have those abilities, you're more inclined to be a hunter. But he just doesn't have the strength.
Oh yeah, like he does have. They mentioned he's like stronger than a normal human.
And can
Yeah,
heal fast.
he can heal. And that's what he said. I can heal. I can do this, but I'm not this. I'm very
right.
weak.
It's broken down by rank, and he is like E or
E. They mentioned that a lot.
Yeah,
which is a thing in the beginning where it's
E.
He's weak. I'm the weakest. You're weak. I know. I'm so weak. And I'm like, oh man, not a good start for me.
Yeah, and there are things called awakenings, which
awakenings.
Awakenings.
Which is what he had.
Which is what he had. He got an awakening. Jesus Christ, Cody. You're fucking killing it right now. That's what don't let this like
I'm leveling up.
You're solo leveling.
Yeah. That's what I call we know.
What? Don't do that again.
Neon Genesis.
Yeah, call back to Neon Genesis for all the people who've watched the series. Look what Cody just did. Rewind a couple seconds and understand what he's doing because
he's doing it again.
It's effed up.
I'm not even.
I gotta see it to know to really give an opinion and to see if
this
I
will be great for you to watch. And you're like, oh, he was,
and be like, oh yeah, maybe Cody was right. We'll see.
Well, you will be. Yeah, he meant that because I do mean it.
I need to know. But it starts off. Yes, hunters are a job, and they're a job that people.
For audio listeners, I was staring at my hand.
Oh yeah, gotta let them know.
I really laughed out loud though when they're like, "Those who hunt monsters are called hunters."
Yeah, it was like this big moment.
Yeah, I was
like, got it.
Oh wow,
thank you.
What?
What the heck?
What the heck? What the going freaks? Hunter.
Bringing it back.
Try to learn something.
Bringing it back.
Bloodborne, they're called hunters.
Okay.
I mean, and
hunters, there's a faction that hunt other hunters, so there are hunters in Bloodborne. In Bloodborne,
everything's hunter.
Well,
I think it's cool though to see that like there are multiple kinds of people that do this job, and these people who do hunt are people who are supporting their family, people who are with our main character trying to pay for a loved one's hospital bills. Like it isn't like. And it is what is cool about the world is it isn't set in a hunter type of world. It is set in a modern day era. And there are portals
that just opened up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, kind of. And again, like, I don't want to seem like I'm coming across too negative, but another thing that I'm not a huge fan of when it comes to these types of stories, or I guess as a device to explain fantasy, is when they get like too specific. I think with certain things, like when it got so convoluted that like the portals in the first hour you can't like fully enter them, and then only like 45 minutes or an hour after the boss is defeated is when the portal closes, and after this amount of time this happens. Like,
is it you don't want that all front loaded?
Yeah,
because it's like that information on its own isn't bad, but like the fact that like everyone has to like say that before they go on their 50th mission,
which is because it could allow
as
for
you
stakes.
Know, the hour is a limit.
Yeah.
If like I have no problem with like a setting with like portals just opened up. I'm not gonna have any issues with that. But when when they're telling each other information, they absolutely should know.
Yeah.
And like again, I wouldn't have
a S-class hunter.
If they have a new guy, I have no problem with them being explained what's going on. Like that's a forgivable thing a story just does. But
yeah.
There's a reason a lot of stories will have a new guy because it justifies everyone saying this information.
Yeah, and like I said, like, obviously rules need to be put in place sometimes for stakes to be, risen, but
leveled.
God damn it, Cody. Yes, Megan.
Cody, you just hit a new solo.
Oh, like I get like the direction. Like an all-time solo, You get it?
I don't know. I just wanted to throw one out there, see what happens.
Look, I get it.
I get it.
Our main character is I forgot his name already. Jin Woo. He's the weakest. He says he's the weakest. Multiple times, everybody else talks about him in front of him, close enough for him to hear that he is the weakest. But he's very adamant on being a hunter. and we find out the reason for it in just a panel.
I thought that was
yeah.
really good storytelling.
And like, I mean, like, he's just like, I have to get money because of this. And I'm like, if you're bad at this, get a regular job.
Yeah, you think you probably
like,
maybe,
you're not,
maybe make more.
You're not living in like a fantasy world, or maybe you couldn't, or maybe if you like develop your skills more, you can be, but he's just not good. It's like, just get a 9 to 5, go to an office. Like the office building is down the street from the portal, dude.
Yeah.
I'll
like,
tell you.
Put a you know, your resume in.
Yeah.
If you're like, I assume they didn't get specific enough as far as like what he makes, which would have helped that. But you are like, I mean, also, I would rather hunt monsters.
Well, they did get kind of specific about
get
it.
the
at a
9 to
certain
5,
point.
where they handed the $1,000.
Yeah.
But like, as far as like, well, here's how much he needs to make in this month, and you're like, here's how much it makes versus a regular job.
Yeah.
Because he just handed a thing worth $1,000. You're like, is that common?
Yeah.
Is that a rare item? Is that like, does that change his day?
Yeah, I mean, like, it just like plays back to like him having those stakes and him trying to get money, and he's just not good at the job, so he'd rather go get his ass beat every time he goes out than
Then
just
work
work
a 9 to 5, which I will agree with.
Well, I will also say that is a different type of soul crushing. Yeah.
Yeah. You can
activity.
level up hunting monsters
Yeah. All you get in an office is a promotion. You know,
if
that. He is someone who does get his ass beat all the time, which I don't hate in a main character either. It leaves room for growth.
Yeah, the only issue is they just keep mentioning it.
Yeah.
Like, say it once, I'm good.
Yeah. And you know, we're let in on the fact that he is about to venture into this dungeon that is supposed to be a very low ranking dungeon. And it's going to be some money, any money, is all he cares about.
To pay for his sick mom.
Yeah.
That's the
and possibly put his sister in college.
Yeah.
And they add another thing. Like,
Yeah. And we meet a couple people. We meet specifically, there's a girl that he meets that is a healer.
Junie.
Yeah.
Junie.
Which is sort of just like, all right, here, yep, that's that
kind
character.
of a, not a twist, but kind of a shocking moment later where, you assume because this is a main character that is weak and that everybody calls weak, that he wouldn't have a shot with a higher ranking, powerful person. And like she kind of flat out asks him out at some point, and I was kind of like, oh, all right.
Okay.
Sick.
Yeah. Fantasy.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, fantasy. Cool. Yeah. But yeah, so they set off into this dungeon with these band of misfits. Some
And
of
like
them are
one
more.
S rank guy is like, oh, what's he doing here?
Mhm.
Yeah, there's one guy that is pretty proficient in hunting and has had a powerful awakening. There's another guy who hasn't done it for a while, and he's just coming back because his wife had a baby. And I like the little touches of the backstory and the reason why everybody's kind of going there. And they get there, and he gets his ass beat again, but survives, which seems to be pretty common for him. The girl that he's with heals him, and then they discover that there is a second dungeon within the dungeon, and there's that classic moment of what do you guys think we should do?
Because no one's been in here, so there'll be better loot.
Yeah,
We should have a voting system, and then we all have to go. Which I would be like, no, I don't.
yeah.
Well, it was also that it wasn't. I don't know necessarily if it was to go. I think it was for the boss.
Yeah, they did
right?
mention something about a boss, like, and if you don't slay, and that's another thing. It's just like it's very there are like game mechanics in this world. If you don't slay the boss, then the portal won't close, and so after a certain amount of time, they will be able to come into their world and wreak havoc. But just seems a little,
It's too. There's a book that does elements like this that I much liked. It was called Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Carl.
I think I heard you talk about it before.
Yeah, in that one, it is aliens just invade and they open up portals and they say, like, if you want possession of your planet, you have to like compete in our games. And they're like, we use the alien technology to give you like HUDs and stuff, and like it is a game, so we just arbitrarily decide this does this. Like they even say like, oh, you can upgrade your intelligence to do magic, but they're like, it doesn't actually do anything. That's just a number we gave you.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually make you smarter to increase your. We just let you have more magic.
Yeah.
You know, it's a game show, so that's why there's like point systems. There's a narrator, and they have to like be allowed to like. There's loot boxes, which they say is like, well, that's more entertaining.
But they give it an in-universe reason for all that.
Yeah, all that, like they're told like this, well, we're only doing this because we want to watch you do it.
Yeah.
And we gave you like an alien implant that lets you like interpret all these things this way.
Yeah. And that sounds great. I mean, that sounds awesome. And I wish more stories like this, you know, try to come up with a creative reason for these things happening. Not that they always have to, but.
Yeah, I mean, calling it a boss. You know, like things like that where it could have been like, you know, the dungeon master. I don't know, something like not. I know that's already a thing.
I feel like, yeah,
it's already a thing. The dungeon monster. I don't know, just like boss is so.
The pack leader.
Yeah, something.
The alpha.
Something.
You have to kill the alpha, or his pack will breed.
Yes.
There's a book called Brightblade, and in that one, the guy's just straight up given like an implant that like is an AI that like I can scan this knife and tell you, and I can simplify it into damage format to tell you how strong it is, and that's why he reads like, oh, +2 knife.
Yeah,
like it's the AI is just making it easier for him to understand.
Kind of like Upgrade.
Yeah,
great movie. Speeding it up a little bit, kind of moving along. Where I think we all feel like this story shined the most is when they have a voting system. And half agree to not go, and the other half agree to go, and he's the deciding vote.
Kind of, you know, not an issue, just a thing where I'm like, it has to come down to one guy.
Yeah, and it has to come down to him.
Yeah.
He decides to go because it's supposed to be another easy.
Which I'm surprised he
dungeon.
didn't get more shit for being like. I mean, he's the one who like everyone else is carrying.
Yeah.
And it's like, why does he get to have any say in what we do? Or
why does he get a full vote? Like he should get a half vote.
Yeah, all he did was get hit that one time.
Yeah.
And then his healer friend had to like make sure he didn't die.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're being very clear, but if we're not being clear enough, like people like not hate this guy, but they just like, they are baffled at like why he's even there. And rightfully so. They decide to go forward. They go into this room, this dungeon, this chamber, and it's filled with these giant statues,
which were awesome.
Very cool. This is where the art shines too.
Yeah, you get like a nice like creepy shot where the girl's like, I thought I saw it move, and you just see it like sitting there like, did it, or is she just being crazy?
And they read a stone tablet of commandments that are either on a statue or in the room. And this is where it felt so, I feel like I've played this campaign before, which is why I liked this part of it. And the commandments are like, you should worship God. You should prove your loyalty to him. You should praise him. These sort of cryptic, I guess, riddles. They also are confused as to what's happening. They don't know that these statues are alive yet until one of them tries to leave, which is, it's not the same, but it was a little like red light, green light kind of, as the gods will.
Yeah.
Weren't they told like, oh, you can't leave, if you leave, you'll die or something? Like
they weren't told that.
The final, wasn't there like a final thing that only those can do something?
No, it was, I think the last commandment was like, prove, there was a penalty later on with the HUD display, I guess, but I don't remember there being a consequence said straight out at this point. But either way, one of them tries to leave, similar to As the Gods Will. No one knows what the heck is going on, and runs out, and just gets one of the statues comes to life and just slices this dude's head off. And they realize that the statues are alive, and there's this cool moment of, if these statues are alive, then this statue's alive. And
I like this statue looking around like, shut up.
Yeah, that was a creepy face too.
Yeah, gotta do a thing here.
Yeah, come on, we rehearsed this. The commandments.
The commandments.
I command you to chill the fuck out right now. and everybody.
Number 4.
Yes, and they so they're all into that. Sends everybody into more of a panic, and they all start running around. And now our main character, the weakest of them all, has this moment where he shines because he can solve, or he starts to solve and put together what's going on. And it's not that they're getting executed because they're leaving necessarily. It's that the first commandment is you know, you like pretty something along the lines of like thou shalt worship or praise, you know, God. Or
and that's
bow,
when
bow,
bow down was first.
That's when the main character is like bow down, and it makes sense bow down because they're getting hit with the Blastoise eyes and
and the beams won't hit them if they're at a certain, you know, level. So low.
They're so low on the ground.
So low.
It took you 30 minutes, but you did it. But you did it.
Woo!
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was one of the writing things I like where you know people have like fireballs and stuff, which I haven't explained yet. But
The Awakening.
like he mentions that the reason he doesn't even have like good gear is because he puts all of his money to pay vague hospital bills. So I like that touch of immediately explaining. But for everyone else, you're like, why don't they have a bulletproof vest? Or
And he also says that like, yeah, he uses it for hospital bills, but even if I did get a weapon, I am so weak it would break. It would like I would ruin it immediately. So it'd just be a waste of money. Like you said, it's a nice thing.
yeah, it would like break after like a couple hits because weapons degrade and there's like a degradation system in this.
Yeah.
Degradation.
Degradation.
Yeah. A degradation.
Cody degradation.
Not bad.
It's pretty fitting.
Yeah. So yeah, you get to see him shine with puzzle solving. He does have a moment. It's like, oh, because I'm the weakest, I'm used to avoiding attacks, which we didn't see him avoid attacks.
I mean, yes, but also I don't hate it.
It was a good reason.
Yeah,
but we do not see him being savvy about this before.
And he's kind
savvy.
of savvy. He's also kind of
Okay.
He's also
Sawi.
He's also kind of notorious for, you know, not dodging attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting hurt all the time.
Yeah. Which, you know, but I do like this explanation for it, even though it's been disproven. But more of the riddles are the commandments. Like once they you know, figure out the bowing thing, then it's on to like they've unlocked the next phase, and the statue stands up, and you know their face gets scary, and
then that, you know, each time two people go like, yeah, you're lying. And they don't believe him.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well the first time worked. Like, no, this is crazy. We got to leave. I did like because the first time the guy gets like chopped by a statue, and then the other guy goes and just like blows him up with I-beams. Like, I guess he could have done that the whole time. They just
the one guy who was like super fast, and then we see the family man kind of meet his demise. As well.
Yeah, that was the most emotionally connected I felt to any of these characters at all.
Yeah,
even the main character. Later on, I was just like, okay, he was like the one I was like, oh, that sucks. There's that shot of him and like his pregnant wife, and just being like, I'm not gonna make it out of here.
Yeah, I did kind of feel for him more than the main character, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, like that scene alone, I was like, okay. And then even the guy that was like, I just got my license, I can't die here. And then
I
just joined a guild.
A great guild.
B guild.
Oh, a B guild or the guild?
I thought it was a B guild.
Guild
Maybe,
Guild for Godfrey.
Okay.
I
mean, I would join it.
Cool.
I would.
You have to join my group.
You can't say that and not do the voice. Maybe they'll have a guild girl there.
Oh.
Maybe they'll have a cowgirl there.
Maybe they will. But the second riddle is about. I think then is about praise, and they find out that there are.
That they're not.
What?
That it's not about you. They find out that it's not about that.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, at church,
that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. He's like, I've been to church. I'm very good at praying. And
I got this.
Starts praying, and then.
Well, no, clearly it's about the statue.
Yeah.
It's like, thou Lord.
Oh
no, it's not. It's the thing that's killing everyone.
That was maybe the highlight comedically of the whole volume, dude. He had so much confidence, dude. He's like, everybody relax. Hey, I know weakest guy. You've kind of been handling it, but let me take it over. Let me pick it up from here.
And that's when we get that like creepy smile from the statue.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was so awesome. Like that's when I was like scary.
Which it was like, oh, was that not the thing to do?
Yeah.
Oh, did that give him power?
Terrifying.
Dude, yes. He goes up to him and says all the things like, I tremble in front of thee, oh Lord, your power is...
Oh Lord, your power.
Give me retribution and for salvation. Just buzzwords,
Yeah, you're just like, no, it doesn't, it's a game.
Yeah, and then you just get stomped, dude, by this huge foot.
Yeah, how'd you feel about that close-up of a foot?
It was stone, so it wasn't as bad.
Oh, that's where you draw the line.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I were to have seen like a really big feet, I think really what it is that they're so fleshy. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
I haven't heard one of those in a while.
No, I don't, Brent.
So yeah, they figure out that basically the solution to the riddle is that there are statues with weapons and there are statues with instruments, and that you have to stand in front of a statue with an instrument while it plays music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one person per statue. And so there's this moment of like, I guess, anticipation, or there's a moment where you're led to believe that maybe the main character won't find a statue and we'll have to come up with another way to save the day.
A little thing I liked too was the healer she's like a B rank healer. She like gets like terrified and was like, oh, it's like in you're playing she was struck with like a fear.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, she's suffering the fear debuff. And now she can't take any actions.
Yeah. And that was the thing too, is like, the ones who didn't die were just paralyzed by fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I prefer it being to be like, oh, that's like a game mechanic. If they then put like the actual words debuff and they're like, oh, it's a hologram, I would have been like, all right.
Yeah.
But I like how it's just like a game mechanic in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That you start putting numbers on stuff, I start having issues.
Yeah, there's also a main character, not a main character, but there also is a leader. And while we did say that there are people that are in fear or dead, there are like 2 or 3 people who are trying to rally everybody. And the one guy who is kind of like he's put himself in charge because he's the strongest one there.
He's an S rank. And he lost his arm, and he seemed pretty chill about it.
Yeah, too chill.
Well, I mean, he's got to be. I mean, he's the leader.
Well, yeah, and I do. Yeah, and like we know they're like beyond humans. So So it's like, okay, him losing an arm. I also don't know like if that can, because there is a healer, and that is just straight up magic.
Yeah.
So I don't like. I believe that like
he can grow it back.
Yeah.
Or reattach it. They solved the second riddle puzzle, and the third one I think was probably the most fun. I mean, the first one with the bowing was really. I liked the answer to that puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one was pretty cool too, because you're led to believe one thing, and even shown that these other options might also work, but that I'm dancing around it because I think once we get to this point, that will be the spoiler mark.
Yeah. The conclusion of the test of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But leading up to it, like it does sort of throw you for a loop in a way. But
I like that thing of we're like, it means this, and the guy's like, no, and they run away, and then, like, because the door's open, like, no, it's a trick.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't think it's a trick actually.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's a test of faith.
But where's the trick?
Yeah,
false hope.
Yeah, but they did get out. So,
yeah, they won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The statues are also like they only approach if you're staring at them, which the characters in this scene specifically have their eyes closed all the time.
Yeah.
Like in this scene that they just mentioned, like, anytime you look away, they get closer. Everyone is like
angels.
Eyes.
Scary.
Yeah.
Their hands are in their eyes. You know, you're always like, okay, blink with one eye and alternate. But they're like, no, I'm freaking out here. It's like, okay,
freaking out here.
They then immediately say, like, keep staring at him though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Weeping Angels did it the best. You know, this is the Doctor Who segment of the episode.
Solo leveling the manhwa.
Yeah. No, I thought outside of that, yes, which was a part of it. It was also interesting and maybe the most complex sort of puzzle, because all of a sudden now there's these blue flames that ignite, and there are also red flames that ignite.
There's a lot of flames igniting.
A lot of flames igniting. The doors are opening, and it seems like you can just and
it
there's
sounds
a
like
moment,
a song.
Yeah.
yeah.
The flames are
The
Igniting.
flames are igniting. The doors are wide open.
Yeah.
All right.
It's called Solo.
Solo. God damn it. And every time, because yes, there are people who are like, well, the doors are open. Like,
yeah, I'm
it's over.
going.
And you expect them to get chopped down, and then it just doesn't happen. They're like the main character's like, that's probably it. They probably died later, you know?
yeah.
It's probably a trick. And they keep going like, I don't know, man. Like they just got
Like,
out.
I really don't think so.
Yeah, are you sure? I'm positive.
Oh yeah, we should. The main character lost his foot.
Oh, yeah.
And now
Yeah.
he's being carried, and then the healer is also like, she can't move.
She's losing her mind.
She's just going crazy.
Just going crazy, and a giant altar fell after they completed the second riddle or whatever puzzle. And that's what the flames are surrounding. So when they see that, much like the reader assumes, is that it's going to take a sacrifice to prove their...
Oh yeah, she got a debuff. She got over the fear, but she kept trying to heal his leg.
Yeah.
And then she was
Ran out
like,
of
I
mana.
can't. Yeah, he's like, oh, she's suffering mana burn.
Yeah.
You lose action points if you do that.
Yeah.
They don't say that explicitly. That's the implication you can get.
No more mana. Try manana.
How about some manhwa?
That was good.
Nah.
Mana.
I don't know.
That's just mana.
I know.
That was good.
I know. I don't know.
That was a good little
I'm
thing.
trying here, okay?
That was a good little thing.
So yeah, she's suffering a debuff, right?
Mhm.
And you know, it seems as though everybody can escape. The characters that are left assume, because the last commandment is prove your loyalty to God.
Prove your faith. So you're
Yeah.
like, okay, we've been given a challenge here.
A giant altar appeared.
But then someone's like, oh, I leave. They're like, oh, they didn't have faith. They're going to die. But they're able to do it. You're like,
Yeah. And you think that, like, I would think the same thing. Like, okay, well, someone's got to die. And they all start looking around. And of course, there's the moment where one of the characters tells the other guy, like, you're the leader, dude. You wanted to come here. Like, this
You're
is...
taking responsibility. That's
Yeah.
that was crazy.
This is
oh, yeah,
you.
because we're deciding who goes into the ring.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, okay, third one, there's a ring here. Doors are still closed. Someone has to do it. We assume it's going to be a sacrifice.
And I love that, dude. Like, with The Mist, too, when...
Oh, love the mist.
The Mist is an amazing movie.
I'm just going to say to put a heavy spoiler mark here.
Well, I think that the heavy spoiler mark and...
For The Mist.
Oh, for The Mist. I'm not going to say anything spoilery about The Mist. But what I do like about it is, like, when true nature is exposed and then that you didn't necessarily need to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and that is as spoiler free as I can keep it. But yeah, so there's that moment too. And as people leave too, the doors are slightly closing. So you start to think that there's a timer on it, or that the flames are a timer. The one guy does sacrifice himself. He's like, you know what? You're right. I'll go, I'll sacrifice myself. He goes into the circle where the altar's at, nothing happens. And then the main character realizes that they all have to go into
I like that realization moment too, where it's like someone has to sacrifice. Like, no, this is the safe spot. Okay. Well, now we all they're like, oh, we got it wrong this time.
Yeah. We all have to go there.
Yeah.
And there's like, the same amount of flames that there are characters. And, I did really like this. And I just feel like I have to say that again, getting ahead of comments.
Doesn't help.
It doesn't, but, it helps me. And the main character finally realizes that this is a test. Everybody that leaves, the door slowly gets closes more and more and more. So eventually...
Isn't that true?
And that is true, dude. That is super true, dude. It's like every time another person leaves, the door to your heart closes a little bit.
Just a little bit more.
Damn.
Maybe this is like the most brilliant thing
Mm-hmm.
ever made.
The fire of desire.
The fire of desire.
Yeah. and that door can't
The
be
wick
of John.
Of
Of what?
the fire of desire.
The
wick
Uh-huh.
of
Dick.
yes.
Okay.
Wow.
And it's
The
about-
wax of
House.
facts.
At this point, we're just saying things. So essentially, to speed it up again, they realize
Wax
that
of ass.
it's a test of faith, and that people have to
And candle's gonna melt it.
sit there
Huh?
and wait it out. Basically, there's an also really cool moment where the guy, the self-appointed leader of the group, is saying like, you know what, one person has to stay. So you guys leave, and the main character has this really cool moment, and at the time we think is a genuine sacrifice, and I think it is a genuine sacrifice. Says like, no, like I'm the weakest one here. Like I can't carry her. I can't do this. Like, you're stronger. You're a better hunter than me. Like you go, and gets left there.
Which I was like, okay, so what I thought was tense and real, and is this the spoiler mark?
Probably yes, because what happens after this? If you're interested in checking out solo leveling for yourself and not getting it spoiled, then I would caution you from this point forward. And if not, then feel free to keep watching.
What if people had some sort of warning system?
Oh, we're doing this. We're doing this again.
Just to be safe.
Oh God.
I mean, just something to let them know.
What time is it?
It's.
Do you have the time?
It's spoiler time. That was a statue.
Like some sort of gaming system in place. You've entered the spoiler zone. Entering
solo spoil time.
New achievement unlock spoiler zone.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler zone. Spoiler zone unlocked.
Spoiler zone unlocked. Enter now.
And that's how we do it.
That's how we do it here. That's how we do it here.
The twist, the reveal is that what is a self-sacrificing moment is kind of undone, I guess.
Well, because you see which you kind of expect.
Yeah.
Well, this was a test of fate.
Of course, yeah.
And you see the axe, like it fades away. I think it's going to fade away. And then he gets stabbed. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And then he gets stabbed again. I'm like, oh, I guess it didn't turn out to be wrong.
Yeah, he really got messed up there.
I thought
he's done.
I thought it was going to go to hit him and it was going to phase through him or something.
Yeah,
and
right.
They're going to be like, you did it. And instead he just gets like killed, like stabbed. And then you get, I guess, the reveal as far as where this story is going with him.
Yeah, and this is where I think the solo leveling thing comes into play because he is, as he's dying, very isekai, he gets a literal like notification, hovering HUD sort of just mission or terms of service agreement, and a voice he can hear in his head that says like, "Do you accept to be welcome? You've achieved
status of player."
Status of player,
and I was like, "Oh my God, is he like in a Matrix type situation?"
Yeah, that would be cool.
And then this is what like gets him out, or like this is what like is actually going to like, oh, like you're Neo, you get to wake up in this world now or something.
That still might happen. Maybe.
Still might. I don't know that it doesn't, but I don't know where the story's at, but they didn't really imply anything after.
No.
Yeah. And of course he accepts because he doesn't want to die.
Yeah, they're like, oh, if you don't accept, you'll die in 0.2 seconds.
0.2 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could be.
You can't say yes faster.
Instant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, 0.2 seconds is kind of instant. Like, I don't even think.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you say yes in 0.2 seconds?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And he wakes up in a hospital and he thinks the entire thing is a dream.
And he has his foot back.
But he has his foot back. And he's being questioned by other hunters.
I really liked them being like, yes, well, they say, many hunters have a second awakening, and we're going to do power levels here. And it says 10. I'm like, oh, is that like out of 10? They're like, that's the weakest we've ever seen. Never mind.
Yeah, they go, I think we got the wrong guy.
I guess we were wrong.
I guess have a good day. I don't know. Good night?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get well, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
or don't, honestly.
Our time.
I mean, Jesus, you are so weak.
Has anyone told you that you're weak?
Yeah, I don't know. You probably don't hear this a lot.
Yeah, people wouldn't say that to your face.
Definitely.
We have a hard number here.
Yeah.
Like mathematically, objectively.
Yeah, no, this is, we're actually thinking about maybe even like, if you want this like hung up somewhere or,
are you comfortable with Guinness World Record book? Because you need to be in there for the weakest.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
You are the weakest link.
And
goodbye.
And they leave. It's at this point too that he's like really still very unsure about what is happening, how much of it was real, how much of it was not real. He still sees this like, notification, this display. His sister comes to visit him.
Which was sort of like, oh, he has a sister too.
Kind of threw that in.
Yeah.
They said that
in the beginning.
Yeah, they said, oh, my mom's sick, and then also I want to get my sister through
Oh,
college.
okay.
soon.
No, I missed the sister through college.
Yeah.
And he asks her kind of casually in like a moment of passing, like, "Hey, can you see this?" And she's like, "See what?" And he's like, "Never mind."
Nothing at all.
And
I'm
it's
just weak.
And it's this moment of him having to recover, but still reading the message, and it basically gives him this like workout regimen.
The One Punch Man workout.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't stay active for this long, you'll be transported to a desert and chased by a monster.
For
so.
4 hours, which they kind of just gloss over.
I mean, he could. I mean, you'd think he would die, right? I mean, given his track record,
he's the weakest.
Once again, he is the weakest. And also, I mean, but I guess that kind of is a workout too, huh? Like having a run.
Maybe it counted.
Yeah.
Of course,
You ran 10 kilometers.
There's a
Maybe
zombie. There's a zombie run that happens, and people in costumes like zombies chase you, and you have to run from them. Like that's a good workout. I mean, I would give up, but
Is it called The Running Dead?
no, it's called Zombie.
If anybody can get us in contact with this organization,
It's called Zombie Run. Did I just say that? Zombie Run? Yeah. Zombie Run. Zombie Run. It's cool.
Of course, yeah, he doesn't do the workout and he gets sent to
Which is
penalty
like
zone. And
wild, because they're like, you have to do this. And he's like, no, I don't. I'm in the hospital. I can't do it.
well, I also think what you're talking about too is that the penalty like might have been death. You know,
It pretty much was.
why would you even
Stakes.
risk that? It's pretty. It's easy to read. It's right there. It's not fine print, but he survives and then realizes, okay, well, I got to do this, and he commits to it, and people are like, this guy's crazy. And,
Like, but he is a hunter, and that is like, I guess that's a light workout.
yeah, and they
Yeah.
recover quicker, and
So I guess we
just
ride out this break. And
yeah. And at a certain point, he lets us in on the fact that he's getting loot or receiving items, which again is like this video game mechanic, and he gets things are just sort of, they manifest, and he has this key that takes him to this dungeon as a reward, I guess, or as an extra mission that he goes to. And I was a little unclear on like what made this dungeon different.
it was a blue zone.
I mean, they're all blue, but
and the fact that he had to do it alone.
well, that
He had to
solo
do it.
leveling, yeah.
Do you guys get
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Do you guys get it now?
Yeah.
He's
No.
solo leveling up by
What
himself.
the heck are you talking about?
But what's
solo
also-
Doesn't
leveling
make
up by
any
himself.
sense.
Kind of interesting too is that like someone from the real world was like there and could like was like phasing in and
Like
out.
he got walled off,
Mhm.
but someone just walked through. He's like, oh no.
Yeah, and then he realizes that he has to defeat this boss solo. And that's kind of where it ends. And for the sake of time, there were things that we may have glossed over or kind of sped through. But I think especially if you're just
was a
curious
speed
about
run.
especially if you're just curious about the series, I think we gave you all the information that is necessary. But now that we've gotten through it, I really want to know how you felt about it, and to be able to talk about it openly and freely now that we got the spoiler tag out of the way.
Yeah, I don't like just video game references out of nowhere, like having a HUD. Like, I don't know if he's in a simulation at this point, though.
It's the only
like,
thing that would make it cool.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, like, because he doesn't then, like, meet his girlfriend or have a talk, or, I mean, she, like, asks him out to, like, get lunch.
Mhm.
They're not dating. But
Yeah.
it was like, oh, like, was he just, like, is that, like, all of that was fake, but, like, if you, like, pass this test, then you actually get to, like, go into the real world? It's like the opposite of an isekai.
That'd be kind of cool.
He was in the fantasy.
That'd be, I mean, I'd be into that. It just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I don't know, like, what rules are set up here to justify video game HUDs either.
Yeah.
I don't see anything that would explain that.
So it's probably safe to say it's something that you wouldn't continue necessarily.
I might. I want to know where the story goes, because I want to know, like, are they going to answer any of those questions? Because I like when a story does. Again, it's not that element on its own is bad. I just don't like when it's not justified.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Megan, how did you feel about this?
Like I said, I'm not like the biggest fan of like, I mean, it's not an isekai, but it has like video game elements and like you know, like dungeons and stuff. Like I'm not the biggest fan of that in reading. So
But now that means you might be the biggest fan of it.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
This one I feel strongly about.
You felt strongly about the other thing.
I guess so, but
You said it
we'll
like
see.
every time.
We'll see, won't we? But yeah, I don't know. I really was trying to like see the good in it. Like I did like how casual the dungeons were in society. Everyone knew about them. You can, if you have an awakening, you can go and be a hunter and be successful at it. I did like that aspect of it, but in other aspects, it kind of lost me with the dialogue. I wasn't really connected with any of the characters. It all kind of felt like at one level. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, obviously, like Cody said, he'll continue reading it because he wants to figure out what happens. I've seen panels of the manhwa later in other chapters, and it looks cool. I've seen the main character. I'm not going to give anything away, but I was just like, oh, okay. Things are, you know, looking up.
Well, there's a cool picture of him on the cover.
Yeah,
That we don't get to see in the first volume, I don't think, at all.
Yeah, so it is like it interests me, but I am you know, I'm not out on manhwa because of it. I'm very excited to keep reading some other ones. We've gotten some recommendations for others, so I'm excited to tap into it again because again, like the color, like the different reading, like it was cool.
Yeah, and obviously this story is not indicative of all manhwa.
Yeah,
it is just like manga medium, and there are all types of stories that are being told. I do love isekai. I don't, it's not my favorite genre. We actually just did a top 5 anime video that will be out on our channel when this is out. So you can kind of go back and watch that to get an idea of the types of stories that we all connect with. And it doesn't have to do with this story not being good. It just is a story that I don't think was for us. And I think Cody said something that really struck a chord with me, which was that, you know, I also don't like when video game elements are not in a video game. There is a place for them, and it's in a game and in a story. Unless you can have a clever explanation for them, then it just doesn't feel like it meshes.
It's not charming.
It's not necessary.
I'm not like, I recognize that from video games. I'm like, why is that there?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't like if someone's like, dude, I like how there's like video game stuff for the sake of it.
Yeah, and this doesn't turn me off from manhwa either. I want to experience new and other stories. Just for me, I didn't connect with it as much as I maybe kind of thought I would. I had heard nothing but great things about it, and I understand why people love it, because if you like this kind of story, and there are a lot of these kinds of stories, then you're gonna love Solo Leveling. Like it's like what it does do, it does well. It's just, you know, a power system or a world that I just have a harder time connecting with, and it's probably something that I personally, Josh, won't continue. But I don't think, and hopefully that doesn't discourage you from checking it out and giving it a fair shot.
Right now, this story, because I don't know what its explanation is, but it has it almost blew my mind with where I thought it was going. So I don't know that it's not going to do any of that stuff. So
You're talking about with like the reverse matrix thing.
Yeah, or like, what does it mean he became a player? Is he just gonna mess around now?
It's like Free Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, you know, and that is part of, you know, just reviewing the first volume or discussing the first volume is that, and if you're new to our channel and our show, then you know that the reason that we do it is because every story should start with their best foot forward. And a first volume should, you know, in a perfect world, it should be a good representation of what the story is. Having said that, there are times and there are stories where, you know, it can become something completely different, and it might go a direction or go to a place where we all would like it more. Unfortunately, there's a lot of other stuff out there, you know?
Yeah, there's I mean, it did make me just want to keep playing a video game I'm on right now, but like,
yeah,
that's because I'm like, oh, that I just enjoyed that more. Darkest Dungeon, great.
Oh yeah, you showed us
The dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Dungeon Crawler Carl, the 4th book just came out, so I'm like, oh, I'd rather be doing that now, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a lot of work in explaining like why do these dungeons exist? What does any of this mean? What does it mean that like this gives +2 to attack? And, like they literally just say like, well, that's not actually what it means.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Brightblade, it is that, but it's like, oh, we've combined magic and technology to like give you a program to help explain this world that you're entering. And it's an isekai. Brightblade's an isekai.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you like, if that sounds interesting to you, instead of solo leveling, you got a couple recs out of it too. Some other things that you might like. But let us know what you think of solo leveling. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you got problems with it? Do you think it deserves the hype? Or do you think it's just fine?
Do you think it could have used some buffs? Or is this series a little too nerfed?
I like it, Cody.
What is that?
Which part? A buff is when
a stat increase.
So like if you were a mage, like if I say I'm a support mage, which I'm DPS, but if I was a support mage and I increased your defense, I gave you a buff. Now say the enemy, some evil wizard, he lowered your speed. That's a debuff. Nerf is for mostly for multiplayer games. Nerfing, like a nerf weapon is weaker. So if something is nerfed, it's like it's debuffed, but like by like the creators. So if like, oh, that gun is OP, OP means overpowered. So if this one gun is OP compared to all the others, the developers will nerf it and bring it down.
So that it's a more fair weapon.
Yeah, and sometimes they just don't ever.
Sometimes it'll just completely make it useless.
Yes, and then sometimes there's such a need to balance everything that everything ends up just being the same, and now there's no point in being creative, which is the real consequence of nerfing. If we want to get into it, or we just want to stretch out time here, you guys aren't going to stop me. Say you have an
Thank you for being here. We're not done yet. Let us know what you think of solo leveling. Let us know what other manhwas we should check out. We're almost done, but we're not done yet. And we have one more thing to do, and that's to get to our Wonder Circle. Cody, save it for the Patreon, dude.
Yeah, he nerfed you right now.
It's a really simple thing to explain.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so say you have an archer and a mage. The archer,
Thank you, guys.
the archer has an arrow that does 5 damage. You'll see this in Skyrim, right? The arrow does 5 damage. Oh, you have a fireball. That does 5 damage. You're like, well, what's the arrow does bleed damage over time. The fireball does fire damage over time. It's like, this is the exact same function. You just,
I see.
Because they've been balanced. Now there's really no, it's just down to what you think looks cooler.
Yeah. I get it now.
Because like, oh, you have to buy arrows. Like, well, you have to buy mana. Okay. So now it's just what you want to buy more.
Yeah, I get that. And I learned something.
And say you have a fighter.
Thank you guys so much.
And now on to our other wonderful segment, the Wonder Circle, where we have our AI, Volume 1 Sean, go through comments that you've left on previous videos. She picks a few of them out. She reads them to us. We react and respond to them. If you want your comment read in a future Wonder Circle, all you got to do is comment on this video, leave a comment on this video or any of our previous videos. But with all that out of the way, Volume 1 Sean, will you please read the first comment to us? Please.
This one comes from Nature Bear. All this time, I assumed Cody had a super dark dog food backstory where he was forced to eat it and treated like an animal. I'm both relieved and disappointed. Disappointed in you, Cody. But at least we know what to get you for Christmas.
Wow, you look like the Grinch.
Yeah,
I'm not going.
Yeah, you kind of have the same vibe, I would say.
You do. Oh my God, Cody.
Like, and I was right about everything at the end. It turns out I had a bigger heart than you.
Like you're like second act Grinch.
Second act Grinch.
Yeah. I mean, the funniest, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's not funny.
Yeah, of course the Grinch is funny.
You're the mayor.
Oh,
I'm Cindy Lou Who, dude.
No,
No, I'm Max.
you're not
she's
Max.
I'm Max.
Because no, you're not Max. You're Cindy Lou Who, and you're wondering where are you Christmas?
I mean, I could kind of also see that a little bit too. Look, man, if you don't know by now,
Oh, right,
Cody,
the dog thing.
Yeah, Cody has talked about it ad nauseum.
Not ad nauseum. It's mild trivia that you guys get hung up on.
It's insane.
It makes me nauseous.
Yeah, it's
is what I
literally
meant.
insane.
He doesn't do it anymore. He did it. He revealed it in a Spy Family video and revealed it on our recent Halloween live stream.
Which I said 10 years ago. That was wrong. It was 20 years ago. 10 years ago, I was 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was 20 years ago. I used to like eating dog food. Dry dog
Just
food.
leave out the like part. Just that 20 years ago, I ate dog food.
No, but he does like it.
And
That's
he
the
still
problem.
does. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the
Which
root
I
of it.
don't because of society.
That's the only reason.
But I don't do it.
That's
So if you would like to send...
And that's the important thing. And, we can get into other fluids.
let's not. If you would like to send
my
us...
God.
I meant him drinking
some-
pee, but then I realized what that,
Yeah, how that sounds.
yeah, I realized what that could have.
We have a P.O.
Come
box.
Jesus.
across. Yeah.
And if you'd like to send us some gifts, and if you'd like to send Cody some dog food...
Which
then,
I won't eat.
He'll definitely
He'll eat
eat it.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
If you
eat
send
that.
dog food, he'll eat it.
I won't eat it.
eat
Volume
it.
1 Sean, can you hit us
I
with
live
another
by a
comment,
code.
please?
This one comes from Aaron Dev. Also, you guys have to do a volume 1 on Naruto. Even if you guys don't continue it, the trifecta of the last era's big 3 needs completed. Also, so Megan can have a legit opinion on it.
Oh,
Oh,
kind of
okay.
speech algorithm.
Oh,
kinda.
wow.
Yeah.
Had a little hiccup in the algo.
Yeah, I'd like to, take a. Maybe we don't focus on shonen so much.
we got to complete the big 3, dude.
Yeah, I want to read Naruto.
Yeah, Megan wants to. We'll
Uh-huh.
do it. It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
almost happened actually.
Yeah.
It's going to be a volume 1, and then we leave it up to the audience whether there's going to be more or not. And I have a sneaking suspicion, and I'm being truthful and honest, that the audience ain't going to want to see much more. I would love if they did, but it's a story that's been out for a long time.
Mm.
It's a story that, a lot of people have talked about. I would, again, love to talk about it, but we'll see. So we just put the feelers out there. We just dip our little toes in the water, and, maybe we'll catch a fish.
Believe it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys. Yeah, Megan has discovered her love for shonen.
She's a shonen gal.
I'm a shonen gal.
Shonen gal.
Shonen gal.
And
Come over here.
I have
Give me
found-
a kiss, shonen gal.
Like 3 I like,
There we go.
Yeah, and that's kind of not what you'd expect, but
and one of them I like because it's a realization of shonen stories. Chainsaw Man.
Of course.
Yes.
yeah. Volume 1 Sean, hit us with the last and final comment, please.
This one comes from Kane8982. Just gotta say, Cody is right. One Piece is bad. Luffy is the worst character in manga.
Ah, I see her truth algorithms.
Volume 1, Sean. Why are you
Have
why are you
engaged.
trying to start shit right now?
Yeah, now Volume 1 Sean's going to get a lot of hateful comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does she get more hatred?
You know what, dude? And I think that's really what it is, dude. I think, you're on this, like, I want to take a break from shonen kick
Mm-hmm.
because, your experience with it has been soured from
You have trauma.
One Piece.
Oh yeah.
And I think, yes, you are experiencing
Of course.
trauma.
Mhm.
And I think maybe Naruto's just the thing to heal
Oh,
you.
yeah, like 100 comments saying, "I can't believe Cody doesn't believe it. Doesn't he realize Naruto's gonna be a Hokage?
You know what, dude? Just open your heart to it, and let the
He just unlocked Shadow Ninjutsu.
let the nine-tailed fox in. You know what I mean? And you'll understand that.
What does the nine-tailed fox say?
I like it.
That was really good.
I like it a lot. And what a perfect way to end the segment and to end the episode. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Before we go, we have to shout out our wonderful, beautiful, amazing. We are not solo because we have them, our Patreon members.
They're
yeah.
buffing our constitutions.
You
Yes,
guys
they are.
you guys turn me to stone with those eyes of yours.
Yeah.
They have
they
high
do.
intelligence stats for subscribing to us.
They're not
Uh-huh.
weak at all.
No, they make me weak in the knees, though.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Every single one of you guys, thank you for all your support. It means the world to us. Every day we get closer and closer to being able to just do this all the time. And it's because of you that we're as close as we are, and we'll eventually arrive at our destination. Maybe, hopefully sooner.
Maybe we'll level up.
Maybe we'll level up.
Maybe we'll unlock the perk of total free time.
And that
to be on the grind.
It's
Volume one perk at a time.
One perk at a time. And if you would like to become a Patreon member, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/volume1pod. Early access to all of our episodes. You get access to our Patreon exclusive bonus podcast, Volume 1 Extra. It's a fun time. And you know, if you like this show, then I'll venture to say you're going to love that one.
Yeah. But if you're like, but I'm short on gold, I'm still grinding myself. I can't join the Patreon guild. What you can do would be we have a free guild that's for everyone, which is the Algorithm Guild.
Yeah.
Which entails, Megan?
The Algorithm Guild is you can comment a period, or you can comment Algorithm Gang or Algorithm Guild now.
Or comment some experience points for us.
Experience, XP, anything you want, because it pretty much helps feed the algorithm, because it's really hungry, and you know, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, each comment, thumbs up, or subscription is a buff to us, and it's a buff to the algorithm, and you can consider that donating us some supplies.
Some rations.
Yeah. Money.
Thank you to everybody, no matter how you choose to show your support. We love you all. The only thing left to do now is to get out of here on our outro. That is always the same, and never, not once in the history of this podcast, has ever changed. And today, that outro is
game over.
Stone cold stone leveling. Oh wait, stone cold solo leveling.
Why are
stones
you
for the stone statues?
Yeah, like Stone
is
Cold
that why?
Steve Austin. Yes.
She said Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, you did say Stone Cold Steve
Not
Austin.
because
No, because the Stone Cold, they're cold and they're stone, solo leveling.
I thought Cody might have thought that it was a reference to his dad.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes, it is Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's why I'm saying solo leveling, because Steve has an S in it.
Oh, well then that was a true moment. That was a true moment.
That was true.
I like it. I like Game
Cody,
Over.
A Game Over?
But why Game Over? That seems so final. Solo.
So long.
So long. Farewell. Avidas and good night.
I thought it was goodbye.
Goodbye.
You know what?
Let's think.
Level up.
Level up.
You're never solo with Volume
1.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Yay!
You're never solo with Volume 1.
Sure.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And remember,
you're never solo with Volume 1.
Alright, now consider this. Like, a game of guns, especially. It's like massive. We have a debuff spell versus a damage spell. Now, say the debuff increases damage by 100%. But that damage spell lowers their HP by half. So now the next attack, either way, essentially does double damage.